Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Brighton podcast. It's your boy, Jamie G, and I am back on the hosting duties after, I'm afraid to say, it's been a sad and sombre weekend for us Brighton fans. I'm joined along with Bless. There's nothing really to say about that performance other than it was absolutely embarrassing from the beginning to the end. And we all know why they're tuning in, don't we, Bless? We have probably listeners from other clubs tuning in to listen to two grown men cry on this podcast, to listen to us in pain as we actually try and relive and reflect on the 7-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. I mean, it's our worst Premier League defeat ever. It's the worst Premier League defeat this season, and I think also dating back to last season in terms of the margin of defeat. So just not a good week, and good God, everything that went wrong, could have gone wrong, did go wrong, and that's where to begin. I feel sorry for the fans that made the 3.5-hour trip to Nottingham just to watch that absolutely abysmal performance. I feel bad for the fans in America that listen to our podcast that have to tune in and wake up at 6:30 a.m. to watch that. You have got to be joking. They couldn't have done it for the fans. Like, put in some level of respect, especially when the scoreline gets to 5. Maybe you think, oh, maybe we'll stop. You know, just try and keep the ball for a little bit. But no, they didn't do that. 2 more went in afterwards. Shocking performance. Bless, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a tricky one, to be honest. I don't even know where to start. I mean, the whole thing is just absolutely shambolic. Like, it just felt like it was men against boys at times. It really was. And it felt like, you know, it could have been maybe even 9 or 10. Like, they were really putting us to the sword at one point. When it was about 6-0, that's when I started sort of tuning out, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. They got a 7th because 6 was like 90th minute around that time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, 6. Obviously, that's terrible. But I'm like, the game's basically finished. Surely they're not going to score again, and they have scored again, 7. And that's a team that got beat 5-0 last week. They've bettered their goal difference.
I know. That's actually the most
bettered their goal difference.
The most painful thing is Bournemouth showed us the blueprint of how you can beat and pick apart this Nottingham Forest team. And we've gone there and gone, we just won't do any of that, and we'll play our own game and then get picked apart by them. We'll just do the opposite of what Bournemouth did to them last week. And yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot more. Like you say, there were chances that they had that didn't go in but were narrowly missed. I think they've hit the post as well. And it was every time they went forward, I was like, oh no, not another one. Not another one. Please give us mercy. Have mercy on us and don't score on us yet again. And they just kept on scoring, and I was like, at one point I lost all hope. I was like you, I was tuning out. I stopped making notes around the 85th minute, and I was like, oh well, there's 2 more have gone in. Verbruggen, we're the architects of our own downfall as well. I mean, the last thing you want to do at 5-0 is like make any more errors to give them easy goals. And Verbruggen's given them the 7th easily, and then the 6th has been like them tackling us like in the midfield and then just countering again. But yeah, it just was an absolute howler of performance. I want to touch on how this howler began, because we actually said in our little group chat, didn't we, Bless, that we thought the lineup and the formation was brave to begin with. It wasn't brave. Absolutely moronic, I think is the way to put it. To play Hinchelwood, who's just coming back from injury and is 19 years old, as the sole DM with Ruta and Pedro ahead of him, who are just 2 very attacking players. he just looked lost. The poor kid was clueless as to what to do on the pitch, and he was so exposed. I actually felt kind of bad for him at parts.
Yeah, I mean, when I first looked at it, I was very, very concerned because Ruta and João Pedro are flanking him as like double number eights, slightly
Mm,
above him. Are attacking players. They are not going to defend. I mean, Ruta gets about and he presses, but when the ball goes behind him, do you know what I mean? He's an attacker,
yeah,
so his first instinct isn't to run back and defend. And
exactly.
it sort of reminded me of how sort of Man City used to play in their prime with just literally Rodri, but
Mm,
that's Rodri, not Jack Hinshelwood. So like I looked at it and I was like, this is gonna. It had all the recipes, all the ingredients for an absolute shambolic performance, and that's exactly what it was. Looking at that lineup, and I will speak against the manager. I think this is the first time I'll come out against the manager because he's come out and said that he would pick the same team again. He was so convinced his plan would work. I mean,
mm,
brave, brave words after a 7-0. Like,
exactly.
do you know what? We got it wrong. I got it wrong. Let's move on.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he said before the game, I'm glad you touched on that. He said, obviously, we were forced to make changes. So, obviously, Baliba and Ayari probably would have started in a normal time, but they had a last minute, like injury to them, muscle injuries or whatever. But he came out before the game and said, I wanted to show courage. I wanted to show that I can trust my players and go with these offensive players because I think that will be the best lineup. You need to admit that you got it wrong. Like, that's not the way to defend or to play against Nottingham Forest. And I think it just shows. I've been a big backer of Hurtzeler, and when people were calling for his head earlier in the season, we were very much against that. And we were like, no, we need to back him. Although it's a poor run of form, we're still like not lost many games. Like, we were drawing a lot, but we weren't losing. But this lineup and the way he approached this game is like indefensible. Like, this is where people will start turning, especially if he defends his decision afterwards like he did. But it just shows such a naivety and like ignorance to um how Nottingham, or to play that such an attacking lineup against Nottingham Forest, who thrive on a counter attack and are like so potent going forward. They were always going to overrun uh Jack Hinshelwood, which it's madness to even think that was ever going to work. I think his thinking was like, they're going to sit back and we're going to have a lot of the ball in the final third, then we're going to be able to create loads of chances. There was not one thought of like, how will we defend when they do get the ball back? And that's inexcusable. But yeah, he got it tactically all wrong. So wrong.
yeah, I mean, everyone knows if you're watching the Premier League, everyone who watches the Premier League knows that Nottingham Forest at the moment they are thriving off counter attacks. To
Hmm.
shortchange your midfield and just have a 20-year-old in there who's just come back from injury, that is an absolutely horrific decision. I mean, that is unspeakable. I know you touched on a few of the boys are injured, but even Matt O'Reilly would have added some balance in there. Um,
Exactly.
I just don't know what he's thinking, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. And in this next segment, we will be touching on the first half. And then in the second half, in the third segment, we'll be touching on the second half. So stick around if you want to listen to two grown men cry some more and share their frustration. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. And we are back with a daily Brighton podcast. Yeah, that first half, bless. It's the mad thing is, I actually was like jotting down in my notes, as you know, and I was like, oh, it started off like we're looking not too bad. We are on top of them to the first 15 minutes, and we were unlucky at points to not score or like not create a chance. So we were flooding men forward, and it was kind of his crazy attacking lineup was kind of working to begin with. But it was only a matter of time that was going to work. Then they started, I think Nottingham Forest players started like realizing, oh, this is where the space is. If we just break up play here, then we can play a straight ball out to the wings. And yeah, that first half, it was just they exploited the wings so much because that's just where the space was. Alanga was in acres, either down the left or the right. Gibbs White was in acres down the right as well. And every time they got the ball, their head would look up and they would look for the switch of play. That happens so often, and I think they like we said in the first segment, they were unlucky to not score 4 or 5 in that first half from just doing those like switches of play and moving the bodies around in our defense.
Yeah, I think the main issue we had it was being overloaded in the wide areas. The fullback was both sides, to be honest, but more Tariq Lamptey, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about Tariq Lamptey in the next coming minutes.
Ugh.
But yeah, they were just being overloaded. There was, 3 players against him, really, and what would happen is Hinchelwood would be the one to come over and sort of double up and try and help out, and then that switch is on. There's no one in midfield, so that switch is directly
Mhm.
on, and then it will happen in the other side again, another overload. For me, our wingers just didn't work hard enough to get back, and I'm sat there watching it, and it's so obvious. I'm like, surely Hurts is going to change something. Surely something will be
Mm.
changed. And I know at halftime he tried to do that, but it was just
Too
too little,
late.
too late. Yeah,
Exactly. And I mean, the first goal is a perfect example of this kind of danger or of them being threatening down in the wide areas because Tariq Lamptey got dragged in and then he's caught. This is, I cannot believe this at Premier League level. For I know he's not, we've been harsh on him in the past, but it's for this reason. He is so weak defensively. And it's not even like physicality is the problem here. He was caught ball watching here. Like he got dragged into the midfield to mark, I think it was potentially a Langer who like drifted in. Gibbs White is like over his shoulder. Mitoma is marking Olanya on the left, which he probably shouldn't be doing there because he's not a threat. He should also acknowledge that Gibbs White is behind him as well. But Tariq Lamptey, our actual fullback, is just staring at them playing the balls in the midfield, being a bit of a scruffy play, and the ball is so easily there that it's just getting lofted behind him, and he's like, he turns around and you could like kind of see the shock in his face. Like, oh, damn! How have I been like left this exposed? He's trying to sprint back, and it's already too late then because Gibbs White is like bearing down on goal with the easiest chance to either cross it or shoot. And then don't even get me started on the actual defending that's led to the own goal because Dunk should sort his feet out much quicker than that. But that'll be a we'll go more into specific details on tomorrow's podcast where we cuss out all the players. So if you're interested, stick around for that one tomorrow. But yeah, bless your thoughts on just the level of defending and then being exposed so often down the wide areas.
yeah. It was schoolboy defending. To be fair, it was. I mean, me and Joe spoke in the preview for this game where we talked about how important it will be. I mean, this is probably the most overused phrase in football, but to score first. Like I
Mm,
really felt that if we wanted to obviously win the game, we needed to have scored first. And I say that by stating the obvious as well. I say that because that would have forced Nottingham Forest to sort of come onto us a little bit more, and maybe
hmm
perhaps we would have had more chances. So to concede in the 12th minute own goal from poor defending, we were set up to fail straight away. Dunk was talking about how they needed to keep the crowd quiet and all that, and then to do that in the first 15 minutes. Oh, what are you on about, mate? Come on.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, and then there was what was I mean, there were so many goals. I'm actually losing count of like which ones were when. But I think
Yeah.
the second goal was the corner.
Yeah.
Was that right? Yeah, the second goal was a
Yeah.
corner. And that came from Hinchelwood being exposed in the middle. It started from like nothing moves where Jack Hinchelwood just doesn't win a header. It goes behind him. And then Veltman, this is the where I was also thinking. Veltman leaves the right wing position where Wood then drifts into, but Veltman's then caught, and I'm a big defender of Veltman. I think he's very underrated, and I'm a big fan of him. But what he's doing here, he gets dragged in by, I think it was Alanga at this point, into midfield. And then there's just no one down the right-hand side, our right-hand side. And Wood just goes, all right, I'll take this. And that's how they get the corner, is like after Wood sits Van Hecker on his ass, which wasn't great. But like a recovery tackle. Then
That's our best defender as well.
yeah. He had a bad day as well.
Yeah, the
I don't like to be
tough
too
day.
harsh on him. He had a bad day at the office. But so many instances where they were just so free on the wings. And I just thought, well, we are just not helping ourselves. And then the defend. I'm gonna cuss out Tariq Lamptey tomorrow's podcast as well. But the defending for the corner, he needs to be blocking the man. That's literally his job, is to block and obstruct the run of Gibbs White. The poor little fella has no chance. He drifts past him like he's not even there and glances a header. A decent header, to be fair, but he can't be getting into that position. Lamptey, your only job is to stop him from getting in that position, and he's failed.
Yeah, I looked at the corner a little bit differently. I looked at Danny Welbeck at the front post, and it's tough for me to say. Obviously, the Danny Welbeck enjoyer, blah blah blah, all of that. He's got to be doing better at the front post. It looked like he wasn't paying attention. I'm not going to lie. And there was someone else in that area as well. Like, come on, it's Morgan Gibbs White. Surely someone's got to stop that. Surely, where's Dunk? Where's Van Heck as well? Like, come on, we can't concede corners by headed goals from Morgan Gibbs White. That's criminal.
And the mad thing is, I swear we keep conceding corners. Like, how is a team of our height this bad, like defensively from corners? And we might as well, just to wrap this segment up, mention their third goal. No shock, down the wings again. Tariq Lamptey at fault once again. But this got something that got pointed out on Match of the Day. Mitoma. When we said earlier, he did not help Tariq Lamptey in the slightest. He did not defend at all. Mitoma for the third goal, they showed it on Match of the Day. He's off the pitch, putting his contact lens back in. Did not tell the ref, oh, by the way, I'm going off the pitch. Can you pause the game? No. Just walked off the pitch, said contact lens. And then Tariq Lamptey's like 2-on-1, the poor kid. Just not being able to mark. He's not like he's struggled enough with only Gibbs White to deal with and Alanga to deal with, or whoever it might be down that wing at that specific time. But then he has Anya, Gibbs White, and Alanga playing it around him like he's some sort of statue, just like he's a traffic cone. Genuinely, he might as well have been traffic cone, because they did not realize they played it around him like he wasn't there. And then a good cross and Wood on the end of it.
Yeah, again, it just shows how naive we are. Like, I don't know what he's thinking, Mitoma. Just go down, hold your head,
exactly.
Hold your head, stop the game. Because I think even some of his teammates didn't actually realise he's off the pitch.
Yeah,
like, come on. I mean, obviously you need your contact lenses to see, but go down, just go down, stop the game.
Fake an injury, like they always do that. But
very naive.
The next segment we'll talk about some of the other goals that they scored, I guess.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
And we are back with a daily Brighton podcast. So, we alluded to it. Changes were made at half-time, and I feel like that was at least a point. I know he came out after the game and said, he wouldn't do anything differently. I mean, he showed at halftime he clearly would have done something differently because he changed, made 3 changes, which should have been done a lot earlier. By the way, we were getting picked apart so easily. Should have been done before the 3rd goal even, or at least straight after the 3rd goal went in. But he did make the changes at halftime to bring on Gomez and O'Reilly, who were then just there to, I guess, give more structure, give more of a balanced formation. And I did note for the first 15 minutes of the second half, this is when I had a bit of hope. So what an idiot I am. How naive am I for thinking maybe we do have a chance of winning this game, or maybe we do have a chance of at least equalising. I wrote, we've been much better this half. We've looked much better on the ball. We're keeping much more control. There's some structure. We're winning the second balls, which we weren't doing in the first half. Yeah, then that all goes pear-shaped when Alanga sees Dunk 1v1 and thinks, yeah, I'll have you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good having possession. The two subs came on and actually made it look okay. But again, Forest on the counter, we'll come back to that again. Dunk's not going to keep up with Alanga. We all know that. But what's a little bit disappointing is that he does just let him come into the box. I feel like he had to sort of commit a bit sooner.
I think he had to get a lot tighter. I think he either has to commit sooner, or this is where our formation also goes. We are so bad against teams that play counter-attack because we started so high up the pitch, and then it's basically a foot race between Dunk and Alanga. Whereas if he sits a bit deeper, then Alanga doesn't have the room to just basically go, I'll take you on 1v1 and I'll just outpace you down this line. If he's starting deeper, then he at least has the byline to be an extra kind of defender, as it were. But that's where the problem lies, is the fact he just, doesn't commit, doesn't really do anything other than just let him past him and then go for an easy square. And like you say, it was the second half. I feel like the first half we touched on, they were switching the play a lot. I feel like the second half was much more, they were willing to sit deep, defend what they had in terms of their win, and then just play on the counter because they knew they had us for pace. And that's exactly what they did time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that Hurtzeler really should have expected from them. And I think once it was 2, I personally did not see us getting back into it. Especially first half, Welbeck hits a post. I think it's first half, yeah. After that, I thought, we're done. I think we're done here. Gomez obviously came on. I don't think he looked up to scratch at the moment. I think it's a lot to ask just throwing him in there like that. So yeah, we weren't looking like we're getting back into it.
Yeah, he actually got tackled for their 5th, and which led to the corner. And then it's that guy again, Tariq Lamptey, thinking he's doing wrestling and taking down Morgan Gibbs-White for absolutely no reason. What are you doing? I actually lost hope of that. I lost hope a lot sooner than this. But at that point, I genuinely thought, how is this guy a professional footballer? How are we starting him in the Premier League? That's what I'm thinking.
I do have a few issues with that penalty though, because you see that every week. They're so random just to give that, because they do that all the time. But yeah, I guess he's whipped it in, then he's done it, which is stupid.
Yeah, I feel like people do it before the whistle, and I feel like this one, Lamptey just doesn't let go either. Sometimes they do it for half a second, they grab and then they let go. He's just hugged him the whole way to the ground, and Gibbs-White has kind of showed for it, gone, he's clearly hugging, put his arms up the whole time and gone, he's clearly hugging me, and then fallen after 3 seconds. So he's kind of won the penalty as well. But you can't be doing stupid stuff like that, especially when you can't make mistakes like that when you are having such a bad defeat, or on the back end of such a bad defeat already. Don't make it worse. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, when you're getting battered, don't do something stupid and give away a pen.
And that also goes for Bruggen with the 7th, because when you're getting bad, don't do something stupid like passing the ball for the easiest tap in ever. Well, not the easiest tap in, but it was a low hard finish. But he's basically got the assist for it, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, put your foot through it. I don't know. Again, so many
genuinely.
times I've said, I don't know what he was thinking.
Put your foot, like, just don't make the situation worse. The time is going so slow for everyone in the stadium, for the fans that are still watching on, like us that were watching on TV for the whole 97 minutes. Like, the time just was trickling away, and they were just gonna score their next one because all our players lost hope. I mean, I even noted down that Van Hecker at one point just lost his head and we just started running into the midfield with it, or like started doing really hard tackles against like Nico Williams and Gibbs White. I was like, yeah, this guy's lost his head. That was at like the 80th minute as well. Oh, yeah, it was such a bad performance. Unfortunately, we will be back tomorrow to talk about some of the individual performances, and we're going to cuss out some man individually for what they've done. And is it time for that some hang up their boots? Yes is the answer. But yeah, that's been me, Jamie G, with Blessings Chabamba. We'll see you tomorrow.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.